New York, 1913. Progress devours the world outside, skyscrapers rising, steam machines hissing. But here, in a dark corner of Bellevue Hospital, time has stopped. A young, persistent journalist tries to pull memories out of an old man who looks carved from leather and scars. That man in the armchair, wrapped in pipe smoke and shadows, is no ordinary patient. He is Kit Carson. Tired, he tries to resist, saying glory doesn't matter. But the shine in the boy's eyes is the same as someone hunting for gold. Carson takes a deep breath, shifts his aching body, and reluctantly begins to open the chest of memories about a man who was more than a hero. He was a legend. The conversation barely begins when reality barges into the room. A nurse, used to dealing with senile old men, interrupts the tale as if dousing a campfire with a bucket of cold water. She sees a sleeping old man. We see a resting lion. Carson's reaction is explosive. Methuselah! The old scout refuses to be treated like a child. He kicks the woman out with the ferocity of someone who once commanded regiments. The journalist, awkward and unsure, agrees with everything just to keep from losing the thread. Pipe smoke rises again, and with it, Carson's mind drifts far from that hospital, back to the year 1855, where his story truly begins. The scene changes in the blink of an eye. We leave the gray city behind and arrive in the vast and dangerous southern Colorado on the banks of the Purgatory River. The sun beats hard over the patrol of dragoons. Carson, now young again, skin burned by wind and dust, leads the group. They aren't there on a joyride. For days they've been following the trail of arms traffickers, men with no honor who sold army rifles to whoever paid most. But Carson, with his razor-sharp instincts, knows there's more to this. The mastermind behind the theft is a ghost haunting the frontier, a cruel Comanche known only as Black Moon. Kit Carson dismounts and reads the ground like it's a newspaper. What he finds makes his blood run cold. Fresh tracks crossing over the wagon trail. Someone got ahead of the cavalry. Someone riding alone, following the same direction as the bandits. Carson and the lieutenant trade baffled glances. Who would be crazy enough to chase a whole gang by himself? Carson narrows his eyes, because he knows only one man with that mix of suicidal courage and unbreakable justice. Far away, a column of smoke rises into the sky. The work has already begun. The devil got there before them. Night falls cold and silent, but it's a deceiving silence. The traffickers' camp rests in the darkness, confident, with no sentry on guard. A fatal mistake. From the shadows, a mounted figure emerges, gliding between the rocks. It's him. Tex Willer. Still young, black hair falling over his shoulders, eyes locked on the prey. He to his horse, asking for silence. There's no fear in his movements, only the precision of a predator. He dismounts, gun in hand, walking toward the wagons like death itself coming to collect a debt. Hell erupts without warning. Bam! Bam! The crack of rifles tears the midnight air. Tex gives no chance for questions. He bursts from the shadows, firing, and the bandits drop before they even understand what hit them. The camp becomes a chaos of screams and bodies falling into the dust. Surprise is Tex's greatest ally, and he wields it with mastery. The traffickers, caught with their pants down, try to fight back, but the hot lead flies faster than thought. It's a tactical massacre, One man against many, and the man is winning. The action is frantic. There's nowhere to hide. Tex pushes forward, spinning, shooting with a speed that defies human sight. Bang! Whizzing! Bullets scream through the air, finding flesh and bone with every shot. One by one, the criminals are cut down. Tex fights like a demon, dodging bullets and returning fire with lethal precision. He leaps, rolls, fires again, turning the camp into a war zone. Gunpowder smoke mixes with dust, forming a haze where only the fastest survives. And on this night, speed has a name and a last name. As quickly as it began, the gunfight ends. The echo of gunshots fades through the valley, leaving behind a heavy silence, broken only by the wind. Tex walks among the bodies, revolver still smoking, checking the outcome of his justice. But treachery still breathes. One last survivor, hidden behind a wagon wheel, aims at the hero's back. "I've got him in my sights," he thinks, finger trembling on the trigger. The bald outlaw believes he has the advantage, believes he can bring down the giant. Poor devil. Tex notices. He always notices. Before the coward can fire, Tex spins and faces him, but he doesn't shoot. He's counted the bullets and knows the man is armed, but he hesitates. The outlaw, sweating cold, tries to buy time with words, asking who that devil is, the one hell spat back out. Tex, cold as a gravestone, warns him. "I'll answer, but first I ask a question." The tension is a live wire. The outlaw thinks he has control, mocking Tex, believing the ranger is out of bullets or scared. He has no idea how big a mistake he's making. The outlaw laughs, convinced he's won. He raises his gun for the final shot. But Tex doesn't need bullets. With a fluid, brutal motion, he throws the axe. Thunk. The blade finds its target with a dry, terrible sound. The man collapses, his gun firing into the sky. Tex walks toward the wounded man, his shadow swallowing the outlaw's twisted face. "Maybe now you'll understand," Tex says. "The Navajos call me Night Eagle." The revelation lands like a verdict. He's not just a white man. He's a warrior who walks between two worlds. There is no mercy in Tex's eyes, only urgency. He presses the barrel of his revolver against the wounded man's face. He wants to know why the Navajo families were massacred. The outlaw, feeling death creeping in, confesses. It was all a gift for Black Moon. The Navajo women were taken to the Comanche chief. Tex feels rage boil inside him. "Where's the woman?" he demands. The outlaw, choking on his own blood, points to the wagon. "She's dead," he mutters. But Tex needs to be sure. The real hunt is just beginning. Suddenly, movement. A hidden Indian warrior bursts into a desperate run. Tex sees the tactic instantly. If that man escapes, the element of surprise dies with him. "Stop!" Tex shouts. But the warrior runs like the wind. Tex has no choice. He raises his Colt, aims with calm precision in the middle of the chaos, and pulls the trigger. Not to kill, only to stop. The shot is perfect, hitting the fugitive's leg. Tex exhales. He's been forced to use a means he dislikes, but the woman in the wagon depends on this silence. The Indian tumbles down the slope. Tex walks toward him, gun ready, but not aggressive. He speaks in the Kiowa tongue, harsh sounds that surprise the fallen warrior. "Don't move," Tex orders. He explains that the shot was intentional. meant only to stop the escape. Tex wants to talk. He wants to understand the size of the enemy he's facing. The landscape around them is grand and indifferent, but there, on that patch of earth, the fate of many hangs in the balance. The Indian, Mad Bull, ignores the pain and begins chanting his death song. He expects a mercy shot, proud and unyielding. "Today is a fine day to die," he says. But Tex holsters his gun. He meets the warrior's gaze and questions his honor. "Do Kiowa warriors slaughter helpless women and children?" Tex's words cut deeper than any blade. He introduces himself as Night Eagle and exposes the cowardice behind the attack on the Navajos. Mad Bull, confronted with brutal truth, looks at Tex with a mixture of hatred and reluctant respect. Tex presses on. He wants to know about the white woman. Mad Bull, realizing this white man speaks with straight tongue, reveals the truth. Black Moon didn't trust the gun runners and ordered the woman killed if there was an attack. But she's alive, inside the wagon. Tex makes a dangerous decision. He spares Mad Bull. "Take your horse," he says. "Ride to Black Moon and tell him to come here, alone." It's a direct challenge, a slap to the Comanche chief's pride. Tex is wagering everything on the enemy's arrogance. Mad Bull gallops away. Tex runs to the wagon. Inside, in the dimness, curled up in terror, is Kathy Logan. Her eyes are wide, expecting the worst. "Easy, girl," Tex says. He cuts her bindings. As she sees Tex's face, her panic melts into recognition and relief. She knows who he is. Tex Willer's name travels fast along the frontier. "These men won't trouble anyone again," he assures her. But Kathy's eyes hold scars that no blade could carve. Outside the wagon, under the open sky, Kathy pours out her pain. She tells of her parents' deaths, her life among the Navajos, and the terror she endured at the hands of Jaco, Black Moon's son. She speaks of years of cruelty and fear. Tex listens in silence, his face turning harder with every word. He knows this isn't just about rescuing one woman. It's about cleansing a blood stain from the land. Kathy fears Black Moon will come to kill her, but Tex, placing a steady hand on her shoulder, promises, "I'll stop him." Tex turns his attention to the cursed cargo, the weapons. Old muskets, dangerous, deadly. He decides no one else will use those tools of death. With an improvised torch, he sets the wagon ablaze. Flames rise, licking the wood and iron. Kathy is, "Why do you want the fire seen from far away?" Tex lets out a cold smile. He isn't hiding the trail. He's building a beacon. He wants Black Moon to see it. He wants to draw the storm to ground of his choosing. Tex explains, the fire will enrage Black Moon. It's bait. Kathy calls him crazy for facing an entire army alone. And she's not wrong. But before the Comanche chief appears, other hoofbeats thunder across the plains. Carson's patrol arrives on the horizon, drawn by the smoke. Carson, seeing the bodies and destruction, confirms his suspicions. "There's something odd about these corpses," he mutters. The old scout immediately recognizes Tex Willer's handiwork in the neat layout of the dead. Reinforcements have come, though perhaps not the kind Tex hoped for. Carson dismounts, a wide grin curling under his mustache. "Tex Willer! I knew it had to be you!" The embrace is that of brothers in arms. Carson jokes about Tex's aim, grateful not to be on the receiving end of it. But the cheer fades quickly. The lieutenant, rigid, bureaucratic, and blind to the frontier's reality, sees no hero. To him, Tex is just a civilian causing trouble in military territory. He begins interrogating Tex, accusing him of homicide and illegal action. Tex, impatient, cuts the conversation short. He knows the time for red tape is long gone. Tension spikes between Tex and the officer. Tex tries to explain the imminent danger, insists they take Kathy away to safety. But the lieutenant fixates on regulations. When he sees the burned wagon, government property, he loses his composure. "You're under arrest," he shouts, ordering his men to aim their rifles at Tex. Kathy, desperate, says she'd rather die there with Tex than return. The officer ignores her plea, blinded by his own rank. While they argue laws and authority, the hills around them begin to tremble with the ominous sound of drums. Death is coming. The soldiers hesitate, but the order was given. Carson tries to stop the madness, calling them all fools. Tex keeps one hand near his revolver, warning that the first man to fire will fall. It's a Mexican standoff. Suddenly, Kathy points to the horizon. "Look!" The argument dies instantly. The Comanches crest the hill like a wave of ochre and dust. Hundreds of them. The lieutenant turns pale as bone. The reality of the frontier crushes his authority in an instant. Carson mutters, "Damn, too late. There's no time for arrests now." The warriors descend the slope, firing and yelling. "Wow! Bang, bang, bang!" The lieutenant finally listens to Tex. "Wake up! Tell your men to take cover!" The group rushes to use the overturned wagon as a barricade. Chaos erupts. Arrows and bullets rain down. Tex and Carson fire side by side, dropping the first attackers. The lieutenant, humbled by terror, gasps, "You were right." But being right doesn't stop bullets. The circle of fire tightens. The warriors ride around them in a deadly whirlwind, shooting without pause. A classic, lethal tactic. Dust chokes the air, and the noise is deafening. "Fire! Fire!" the soldiers yell. Tex shoots with mechanical calm, conserving ammo, each bullet finding a target. The situation is dire. They're outnumbered, surrounded, with no escape. Death seems to ride with the Comanches, painted ponies beneath them, howling for blood. Then the impossible happens. The warriors pull back. They stop the attack and ride away. The lieutenant and his men stare in confusion. "Lost their nerve?" someone asks. Tex, wiping sweat from his brow, knows better. "Don't fool yourselves," he warns. He looks toward the ridge. The attack stopped because the chief has arrived. Tex knows that to save everyone, he must do something reckless. He holsters his gun and prepares for the riskiest move of his life. Tex points at the solitary figure on the hill. "The one behind all this. Black Moon." Kathy trembles at the name. She tells the soldiers the truth. That man is pure terror. Carson understands Tex's suicidal plan before he even speaks it. Tex wants a duel. Cut off the head of the snake. Kathy tries to stop him, begs him not to go. But Tex knows that if he stays behind the barricade, they all die when the attack resumes. He must go. Tex bids Kathy goodbye with unwavering resolve. He has to pay. He promises to take her home, and Tex Willer does not break promises. He turns to the soldiers and gives a grim command. "If I fall, shoot their horses." He knows the Comanches hate fighting on foot. It's their only chance if he fails. With the knife in hand and eyes fixed on the horizon, Tex steps out from the safety of the wagon, walking alone toward an entire enemy army. The wind sweeps the grass in Tex's hair. The silence is absolute, heavy as lead. The soldiers watch, stunned. "That man's crazy," one whispers. Carson, eyes full of pride, corrects him. "He's got the courage of a lion." Tex walks until he's within shouting distance. Then he calls out to the ridge. "Black Moon! I'm here, alone, with nothing but a knife. Where are you?" A challenge no war chief can ignore without losing honor. Tex keeps provoking him, his voice echoing through the valley. He accuses Black Moon of hiding behind his warriors, of being a coward who murders women. Tex raises the knife toward the sky, challenging the Comanche to a real duel. Up on the ridge, the warriors part. Black Moon begins descending. The provocation worked. No war chief can allow a white man to insult him before his tribe. He accepts the invitation to the dance of death. Black Moon approaches, riding a magnificent horse, holding a spear decorated with feathers and scalps. A show of intimidation, a parade of trophies. He laughs, mocking the lone white man on foot. But Tex isn't impressed by theatrics. He stands still, waiting, with the calm of someone who has seen death up close too many times. "Save it, friend," Tex thinks. The Comanche charges, yelling. The spear aims straight at Tex's chest. The horse surges forward. Black Moon thrusts with the spear, trying to impale Tex, but the ranger is fast. He dodges at the last second, and with a brutal swing of his knife, snaps the spear shaft. Crack! The chief's weapon splinters. Furious, Black Moon leaps off his horse. Now the fight is on the ground, equal footing. He draws his own knife. "I'll have mercy on you," he shouts, shocked by Tex's audacity. The two warriors circle each other, measuring distance, waiting for the killing blow. The fight turns savage. Black Moon slashes with his knife, tearing Tex's shirt and skin. Blood appears. "I see your blood," the chief jeers. But Tex doesn't give ground. He uses his fists, something the tribes rarely expect. Sock. Smack. Tex's punches hit like sledgehammers. He smashes the chief's face with brutal force. Black Moon stumbles, stunned by the white man's boxing technique. Tex's wound burns, but adrenaline numbs the pain. It's kill or be killed. Carson watches from afar, narrating every move. That fool's using his fists instead of the knife. Tex takes advantage of the chief's confusion. He dodges a lethal strike and counters. Ah! Tex hits Black Moon hard, knocking him down. The Comanche chief crashes into the dust, dazed. Tex gives him no room. He pins the enemy, dominating the fight. The physical struggle is over, but the final act still needs to be performed for the warriors watching from the hill. Tex rises, victorious. The soldiers cheer. "He did it!" But the tension remains. The warriors on the ridge are shouting, "Wow!" enraged at the sight of their fallen leader. Tex, panting, looks at the mass of hostile eyes. He knows he must seal Black Moon's fate in a way they understand. He shouts something in their own language, a warning, a verdict. Then he walks to the chief's limp body. What he's about to do will become legend. The lieutenant watches through his binoculars and goes pale.
Good Lord, he scalped him.
Tex does the unthinkable for a white man, but the only thing a warrior could do in that moment. He takes Black Moon's scalp. Carson explains to the horrified officer, that's their war, their code. If a chief loses his scalp, he loses his authority. Tex raises the bloody trophy high, a brutal, primitive gesture that freezes the entire Comanche army. Night Eagle has claimed absolute victory. Tex roars his triumph in flawless Comanche. He is the undisputed winner. The warriors, seeing their leader defeated and humiliated, lose all will to fight. In silence, they turn their horses around. There is no more war here, only the shame of defeat. They leave, abandoning the valley. Tex remains standing, holding the scalp, watching the dust settle. A strange white man and a Navajo warrior, caught between two worlds, yet respected by both. The soldiers climb down to reach Tex. The lieutenant, ashamed, apologizes. It was an exceptional feat, he admits. Carson smiles, proud of his friend. The story in 1855 ends with the image of Tex, the man who did what had to be done. Back in 1913, in the hospital room, Carson finishes the tale, exhausted. He asks to be left alone. The doctor enters, apologizing for the earlier interruption, but Carson is already far away, lost in his memories, where the West is still wild. In the hallway, the journalist reveals his identity to the doctor. He's not just any American. He's Italian, fascinated by the Old West. He heard every word. The doctor argues that Kit Carson died in '68 and Tex Willer is fiction. But the man, who introduces himself as Bonelli, smiles. To him, historical truth means little compared to the power of myth. He found what he was searching for: inspiration. He puts on his hat and walks into the New York night, carrying with him the seed of the stories we would one day read. Because in the West, between reality and legend, the legend always wins. John Luigi Bonelli, the creator and chief writer behind the legendary Italian Western comic Tex Willer, joined forces with illustrator Aurelio Gallipini, better known as Gallip, to shape the very foundation of Italian fumetti. Together, they helped build Sergio Bonelli Editore, the powerhouse that would later publish classics like Zagor, Dylan Dog, and Mr. No, firmly establishing the Bonelli family as a cornerstone of Italy's comic book tradition.